Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, and we are live on loudmouthradio.com. It is always a pleasure to be on air, and today is always a great time to have a conversation. And today's show is a special edition that we're bringing you here live on Loudmouth Radio, November 30th, 2017. I don't know what you may be doing, but we appreciate you taking the time out to listen to us right here in the heart of the middle of the day. And I don't know if you listen by phone, if you listen on your computer or your tablet, but I'm going to make sure that you have the ability to phone in and be a part of the conversation if you choose. And that actual studio line is 347-826-7520. So if you would, make sure you hit the one key in order to let us know that you would like to speak to us live. And if you're listening online, you can actually listen directly at loudmouth.com. Sector on blogtalkradio.com/loudmouth, and you must put in 2 D's in order to hear what we got to say, because that'll put you right to our actual page online. And we are so excited to be here. And today we're going to really work towards making sure that people have a really tough conversation about some things that are prevalent in our world, and not just in our local communities, but around the world. And today we're having a tough conversation about HIV and AIDS. And we have some very special guests that we're very excited about introducing to some and, involving to others. And I always want to make sure that people are connected to us, whatever time of day you may be listening to the show. Because the great thing is, with us being an online radio network, we have the ability to be on air, whether it's live or you're listening to our archives. And we're available on multiple apps, from Stitcher Radio if you're in your car, to iTunes for our Android, iPhone users. You have the ability to download TuneIn Radio, which archives every show we've ever done from the very beginning. We're so excited. Next year, it's coming up on us so fast, and we're stretching our wings and entering into our 5th year as a radio network, and that is by far an amazing feat, and we're so grateful for that. So if you've been listening to us from the very beginning, you know that we started this show with one pilot show, Night Talk Live with JL King and Sonny, and today I get an opportunity to hear my former co-host and friend and brother talk today about some exciting things he's got going on, because he is a part of this actual platform today. He is an author, so I'm pretty sure many of you may know him from the book On the Down Low, and he's come back with a new book, so we'll have opportunity to speak to him. And Jazz is going to definitely give you guys opportunity to say what you feel in your heart, because, of course, she's going to open up the airwaves when she starts chattering. So this is Sonny, your producer, live here on Loudmouth Radio. And I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for participating in our network as a brand. If you're on social media, like our page, Loudmouth Radio Network, we are on Facebook. And we also want to thank our media partners that have been with us from the very beginning, and those who have been a part of our early start all the way up into our progression at this point. It's always a blessing just to be on air. So listen, we're going to hear a little bit about one of our media partners right now as we speak, and the next voice you'll hear will be Jazzy as she speaks right here live on Loudmouth Radio. You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network. Bridal and Formal Wear by Jakar is located at 215 Old Town Way in McDonough, Georgia, celebrating their 1-year anniversary with select wedding gowns up to $500 off, bridesmaids dresses up to $50 off, mother, bride, and groom, prom, and concierge up to $100 off. All accessories 10% off, such as veils, jewelry, garter, headpieces, and more. Make sure you stop in today, again, at 215 Old Town Way in the heart of McDonough, 678-884-6458, and you can find them online at jacarsbridal.com.
Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be brought on to this wonderful platform that I get to call home. I'm excited always to be able to bring you new, old, exciting, tough conversations. You know, we, as Sunny said, started this broadcast 5 years ago, and my show is still here, but we do a lot of special editions. But the bare truth, love, life, sex, and flowers with Jazzy Jones Smith is still live and well. And today we wanted to bring this conversation and this platform to you because we feel like it's a lot of things that are unspoken. It's a lot of myths. It's a lot of untruths. But definitely it's a lot of healing and support and resources that is available or is being created. How about that? And we wanted to be able to bring you people who are experts in their own field, in their own right. We have a very wide and broad special guests that are coming on, and so we're excited about having them come to talk to us here at Loudmouth Radio about a tough discussion. It's not easy to talk about painful things or things that make us uncomfortable. But at this time and at this era, and especially here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, it is just, I can't even find the word. It's just outrageous. It's unimaginable how many people are affected here locally in Atlanta. And so we felt like it was very important for us, you know, as activists for so many things, but definitely an activist for life, that we bring the conversation to the table and talk about it. So that's why we wanted to have this show. So we will be bringing on, as Sunny said, J.L. King. He'll be on. He's a busy man, and we were able to snag him with the launching of his new book. And so we're always excited when he says, you know, I got you. And that's a privilege and that's an honor. We also are excited about having Kevin English. Minister Kevin English and I are just the best of buddies out on the field, working with the homeless and people who are in need, but definitely those that are infected and need information about HIV and AIDS, resources and education. And we will also be bringing on the founder of Halos of Red Foundation, newly organized but definitely needed foundation for HIV, AIDS, re-education, resources, transportation, and housing. And that's going to be Nicole Borger. Did I say her name right? Because I always mess it up. I always say Borger, because we normally just call her Nicole. But we also have a few other people that may chime in, and definitely, once again, these are people who have been working with directly people who are infected, people who are affected, indirectly and directly. But we also have some people who are interested in just listening because they want to know the facts. They want to know, you know, what it's like to have it, what it's like to, or where to go for information. And, you know, so we just want to be able to have a platform where people feel comfortable. So if you want to call in and if you want to ask a question and you want to have an input that is respectful, let me just be first to say, we will cut you off. If you call into the show with jokes and disrespect, we will very happily cut you off, and we do have your phone number. So if you want to do that, please know that we will do the necessary things after which. We've had a couple of people who have called into some shows that were very insensitive comments that they gave, and so we want to make sure that we are protecting those that are on the show. We may not always agree. We may have a difference of opinion. However, we do want to make sure that everybody has a platform to speak their truth and that we can all get some understanding and education. So, having said that, the phone number is 347-826-6648. 7520. I'm sorry I'm a little shaky today. I have a major congestion issue going on of all days to have the show. But, hey, you know, we love each other, so we'll deal with it. But, again, the number is 347-826-7520. Boy, I'm shaky. I should have the producer
That's
say
okay.
that.
I know. I hear you. I hear you, honey. It's all right. But listen, I think it's so important that we talk about definitely tomorrow is World AIDS Day, and we're very, very happy as a network to be invited and to be a part of sponsoring such an amazing event. AIDS Atlanta, and Russell Patterson has been so diligent about bringing this very important day to the community. So tomorrow we'll be a part of the main event that's going on. So look, I think it's important, you guys. If you're not familiar with AIDS Atlanta, you can actually find them on Facebook. You can find them online. But the AIDS World Day event tomorrow will be taking place with Bishop O.C. Allen as the featured speaker. Just an amazing panel of people will be involved in this particular event. So tomorrow is going to be an amazing opportunity as well for us as a radio network to speak about some very important things that are going on in our communities at large. So definitely we want to invite you to tune in and listen in as well, as we will be a part of many, I'm sure there's going to be many, many, many World AIDS Day events taking place throughout the world, because it is a global recognized day. And I think it's very important in Atlanta that we do not minimize the impact of what World AIDS Day means. So,
and I wanted to chime in. I want to cut you off because that's what I do. But I really wanted to say that it's imperative that we have the conversations continually, over and over and over. You can never get enough, and that's what I think has happened. But we're going to bring in one of our special guests is already on with us, and that's Kevin English, because we want to have the conversation about how it's needed to continue to be spoken about. So, Kevin, come on in, join us on the big comfy couch, and grab a cup of coffee and drink.
Good morning.
Hi,
can you all hear me?
We can hear you fine. Thank you so much for taking a break out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us about something I know that not only is, important to you, but it's also, we talked about this being your ministry and you finding your purpose in this. And so we're so glad to have you come on. Tell us all about you and what you do and how we can be a part of all of the things that you do and what the audience needs to hear about this eve.
All right. I appreciate being invited to speak to your audience this morning. Again, my name is Kevin English Taylor. You forgot that part, but it's all right.
I did. Tell Raymond don't kill me. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. You fought to have that name with us.
That's correct.
Kevin English Taylor is joining us.
Got it. So, yes, tomorrow is World AIDS Day, and this is an important day for me, as I've been living with HIV for 29 and a half years. And so I've been in this struggle. I have fought a good fight. I fight for those who are afraid to speak for themselves, who are ashamed, who I've run across so many people in the work that I do, which, I've worked in the HIV field for the past 16 years. And so in that, I've done a lot of HIV testing of people over the years. I have counseled people. I have given people positive test results in my line of work, as young as 17 years old and as old as in their 60s. So that range, that gamut range is very broad, from young boys to married women who have tested positive. Our seniors are testing positive for HIV. So, it doesn't matter. I say if you're having sex, doesn't matter what you look like, who you're sleeping with, if you're engaging in unprotected sex, you can get infected with HIV. No matter if you're black, white, short, tall, fat, skinny, straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual, whatever. If you're having sex, unprotected sex, you're at risk for contracting HIV. Point blank simple.
I love that. One of the main reasons why I wanted to have you as a guest on the show is because you take away the stigma of I have HIV and I'm dead and instantly, and because people are so afraid of the word. Number one, people not even having you won't even speak it. You won't even say the name. Like you hear people saying, "Don't say the word,"
or they'll stumble over the word.
Right.
And I tell them, say it. Don't be afraid of it. Say it. HIV, AIDS, say it. And until we get comfortable saying it, then, it's going to be the stigma, the fear, and we're going to continue to infect each other.
Right,
and
right.
One of the things that I don't understand is what the generation today, the millenniums, is that they still see HIV as a death sentence. And I'm like, but you weren't even born then to even see that. So where are you getting this information from?
And it's because of how they say, the word on the street. It's because they're getting street information. They're not getting accurate education. And a lot of times we feel like the education that has gone out is null and void, is no good, and we, quote, unquote, need a new education. But it's not necessarily a new. The facts are still the facts. The information and the resources are still the same. But it's now how do we address the millennials? How do we address that 19-year-old to 35 that somehow has missed the information and missed the fact that it is so much out here that was not available in 1980.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I do. I was there. And I believe if we get in the schools, not in the college, on the college campus, we need to get in the schools younger.
Thank you.
Because the kids are having sex at 11, 12, and 13 years old.
Right.
But we want to pull the blinders on and think that they're not. But then when you get a little girl who's pregnant or comes in and has HIV.
At 11 and 12, yes.
Yeah, that young. So it's obvious that we need to educate them in the schools earlier.
But you know what I think, too? I think that not even only just for the HIV and AIDS conversation, I think one of the main things that I find on the note of it being needed to start earlier, I think we're so afraid, especially here in America, in the Western states, I think we're so afraid of talking about sex. See, we can't talk about HIV and AIDS. I think the main thing is that we have to talk about sex and be comfortable with talking about the word sex. Because until we can get comfortable, it's ridiculous. We can't talk about AIDS.
We've made the word sex dirty. It's a dirty, bad thing. That's what we were taught. Don't do it. You shouldn't have it. Wait till you get married. Well, people are not waiting till they get married. So it needs to be, the education needs to be had early. Very early.
True.
That's
so true.
Children, their bodies react to certain things. I have grandsons that are 2 and 3 or 2 and 4 year olds, and their penises get hard, and they don't understand why their penis is hard. Other than maybe they have to go pee, or maybe they just got aroused and don't understand why they're aroused outside of having to go to pee.
You're right, but it's for the parents. This we could honestly have this show and this conversation for 10 hours and still not cover it all, because it is such a broad area of conversation and so many ideas and things that we need to do. But the main thing is, one of the reasons I love you so much is because you're a doer. You don't just talk about, hey, I have HIV, I've lived with it, and that's it. Because you have some people who have been brave enough to say, this is what I have, this is what I live with, but they do absolutely nothing outside of that. a lot of them won't even continue to get treatment or stay on the treatment. But if they do, they're like, well, this is my struggle, my fight, my burden, and I don't even want to help anybody else. My secret.
Right.
And
my
so,
secret.
My secret. So the saddest part is those of us that are on the front lines, whether we're affected or not affected, have to be active doers. The one thing I love about this radio network and this platform is that we are actively saying, hey, we will bring the topics and we will bring the guests to have the conversation. What are you doing? What is the next step for the next listener to do with this information? Because as you started the show off, and as many as our guests will come on and say the same thing, this does not have an economic stopping point. It does not have a racial stopping point. It doesn't care. It doesn't have an age stopping. It just goes to whomever is having sex. Whether that's sex, and I want to be very clear because a lot of people feel like, well, I'm not gay, so I'm not gonna get infected. Okay,
right?
Well,
that doesn't affect me.
Right, that doesn't affect me. But guess what? There are people, there are children, women, and men being raped. So it's not always about I'm just out here freely having sex. If you don't understand what's going on with this disease and somebody forcibly takes you, unfortunately it happens. How then do I live with this disease I did not prepare for, ask for, or even fathom that I could get by any means? And so we have to have this conversation. It is needed, and I agree, it has to start in the elementary schools. These kids are grabbing smartphones and tablets, and honey, they pulling up sites that we don't even know exist. And they're being exposed to so much that if we feel like our children don't know, we're blinded.
Exactly. Their peers are educating their peers. You know, if you ask the kids about certain, I mean, I've learned about sexual positions and things that they're doing now. Something I heard about years ago is that with girls is that they felt like if they were having anal sex, they were still virgins because their vagina hasn't been penetrated. Or they're having oral sex, but they're still virgins. Oh, yeah. They said
now,
as
I
long
knew
as
about
the
oral
vagina has
sex.
not been.
Wow.
But as long as the vagina has not been penetrated, they're still a virgin. They can put it in their rears, in the anal area, in their mouth, and they're still a virgin.
Isn't that such a misconception? And so
that's such a false belief. That's horrible. Hey, listen, guys, I want to say we have quite a few people that are listening. If you want to partake in the conversation, please press the key number 1 on your keypad, and we'll bring you in. Go ahead, Kevin. Chaz, you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Producer.
So, yeah, you know, it's in 35 plus years in HIV, we're still behind the 8 ball. Today, no one should be getting infected with HIV you know, we have
with all the medical, yes. And Kevin, we got somebody that wants to speak.
We have come a long way. Okay.
Yes, we have. Listener, you're live. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to Live on Radio.
Hi, this is Nikki, and I am passing through Atlanta. Good morning, hubby.
Hey,
Kevin.
Nikki.
Good morning, Johnny.
Hey,
Good morning,
Nikki.
everyone. Yes, absolutely. The kids are being taught this, and not only are they being taught this in school, but they're also being told this by their peers as well as adults that are telling them that they can still maintain their and be virtuous without having what they call vaginal intercourse. So I definitely agree. I've heard that not only from my children when they were younger, that they were told the exact same thing. And in this day and age, I would agree with the whole team that people shouldn't be contracting any type of HIV and AIDS with the amount of awareness that is out here in the community right now.
It's so true.
Yep.
Nikki, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your input from so many levels as a parent, as a minister, but definitely in the criminal justice system that you've been a part of. And you've seen so many different ways and different areas that this thing has just spread through, and the information is here. But as Kevin said, and as many guests will repeat, and we will repeat it and we will repeat it, one of the main problems is everything that we are afraid of becomes the stigma. We cannot talk about it. Shh, be quiet. Don't say it, and it'll go away. You know, if we don't talk about it, if we don't talk about anything that deals with anything that embarrasses us or hurts us or that we're afraid of or that, you know, somebody is going to shame us about, then we're okay. And the sad part is we're not. We're not okay. And there's many things, there's many holistic things that have been proven, which is a whole nother show, that can help us eradicate a whole other conversation that can eradicate this thing in many ways. However, from a pharmaceutical point, many people feel like, well, I can't go get the treatment because I can't afford it. But they don't realize the resources now that they can.
Yes, exactly.
And that's something to talk about.
That is so true. And until more and more people step forward and say, I have HIV and I'm living well, I'm living okay, and, you know, here's what I did, this is how I maintain, because even though I'm a working person and I have insurance, there's still a cost to me. And so there are resources for me where I can, that can help me with the cost to get my medication.
So, Kevin, tell us from step one. Okay, I'm going out. I see the mobile unit that says, hey, come and get a free test, which is what Sonny and I did when we first got together. We were not shy about the conversation. We knew we had former relationships, former marriages, former whatever, and so we wanted to be, you know, upfront to each other and say, hey, let's go get tested. Let's know our status, and if we're serious about this thing and we're serious about each other, one, we're still going to be together and we're going to deal with whatever the results are. But definitely, we're not going to walk around not knowing. And so we went to the mobile unit, we got tested, and fortunate we were safe and we were okay. But say if my story is different. I go, I don't know if I have it, boom, I have it. What are my next steps? What do I do at that point?
So, you know, you go to your local health departments, the AIDS service organizations. There's so many places a person can go and get an HIV test and get it done for free. In the event that your test is reactive, that's the first thing, which means that HIV antibodies was detected in the sample that was provided. So wherever you're getting your test done, there should be someone there to guide you through the next steps, which would mean linkage to care or linking you to a medical provider to get your care and treatment. Once that appointment is made, someone should be making that appointment for you, or at least guiding or directing you where to go to get treatment. Once your appointment is made, you go see a medical provider. They're going to take a lot of blood. I've heard 10, 11 vials of blood. They test
oh, my God, I would pass out.
They would test that blood to confirm that you're actually positive for HIV. And once they get that confirmation, then they will provide you with medication. There are, I believe, about 30-plus HIV medications on the market now. There are a lot of one pill, once-a-day pills on the market. They're a lot easier to take than they were 20, 25 years ago. The side effects are nowhere near as severe as it was back then. So the medication is a lot easier to take. In the event that you don't have insurance, there's the Ryan White program that pays for your medical care. And then there's ADAP, AIDS Drug Assistance Program, that pays for your medication. So you need to be filling out the necessary paperwork to be qualified for both Ryan White Care and ADAP for your medication. And if there is a copay for your medications, the pharmaceutical company has programs that will copay cards that help pay for your medication or your copay. So with the insurance that I have, if I didn't have the copay card, I would have to pay $120 a month. I take 2 different HIV medications, but because of the copay cards through the pharmaceutical companies, I pay nothing.
Wow. And I knew a lot, but even as I am making myself more abreast to some things, because you meet people and they ask you questions, and I'm always trying to make sure that through our outreach ministry, from Words to Action Outreach Ministries, that if we don't have the direct answer, we give you the resources. And so a lot of times we are that resource factor. But I'm learning so much more that I didn't even know. And so I knew about some of the things, but I didn't know about the copay. I had no idea about the copay assistance. And so here I am, mind you, pretty abreast, pretty well-known into activism and things that I'm able to do for other people, but I didn't know that. So I'm saying that to say that so you have so many people out here with misinformation or no information at all, and so they're walking around with this thing getting worse and getting worse and getting worse.
Right.
So you just gave us information to say, hey, step 1, step 2, here are the resources when you're worried about can you afford it or can you not afford it. It's been made affordable for you for those that have suffered and died for you prior to that. And what people don't realize is when you're faced with something that you've never been faced with before, any type of disease, any type of disorder, any type of major trauma, loss, or whatever, the person you were 2 days ago will not be the person you are today if you are a survivor.
Exactly.
You are going to usually take drastic measures to save your life or to talk about your cousin or to talk about your best friend. I know many people who have started dance programs, organizations, nonprofits, profit business, T-shirt companies, because my best friend died of AIDS, and I need everybody to know that I, 1, love them, and 2, I don't ever want this to happen again. So you become this advocate for life when you are faced with a situation that you never thought you were going to be faced with. But the main thing, the main thing is to get the information, because Kevin, 29 years you have lived life when it was a death sentence 30 years ago.
And it was not easy, because there was a time when the doctors told my family, to make preparations, and I didn't think I was going to see my 30th birthday, and I'll soon be 53. So that says a whole lot. You have to be a fighter in this. You cannot sit back and woe is me and have this pity party. You have to ask questions. If I didn't ask questions, if I didn't seek information out for myself, I would not have gotten it. You have to fight. You have to, or put yourself around somebody who can help you fight or help you get the information or help lift you up. You cannot go through this disease by yourself and alone. You will not survive.
I love that.
And speaking of which, guys, I want to bring in, we have a few callers that we need to go ahead and bring in, and our special guests are sitting and waiting in. So, Jazz, if you will, let's have our beloved brother, Arthur J.L. King, and we also have Miss Nicole, that's with Halos of Red Foundation. So I'm going to both mic you guys in for live response. Welcome to Loudmouth Radio. It's a pleasure always to have you guys here with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome. Hello.
Good morning. Thank you.
You guys, we do welcome you. We know both of you are everybody that's on the show is stealing time from either their jobs or meetings or other things. So we have a bunch of time to be on the show. We have 2 hours to be on the show because we figure people would have questions and call in. However, we know that your time is limited. Nicole, if you can just hang tight real quick, I want to get JL really fast because I know you're on your way to another meeting. JL, we love you. This is your home always. This is your platform, your baby. And so we want to have you to talk to our audience about Book 1, Book 2, where you are, where you want to go, and what you want the people to know about HIV and having a tough conversation of AIDS.
It's always a pleasure, and I wish I had about 10 hours just to talk about me.
Right, right.
But I'm not going to do that. I really appreciate what you guys are doing and your efforts to keep folk informed. You're right, this is a crazy day for me because I just gave birth last night to my Download 2 book, so it's kind of crazy today.
Yes.
I'm excited that, I can continue to be part of the battle. And my perspective is, I give props and honor to my brother, my friend Kevin, who has been on the battlefield and to inform people about
my
HIV.
brother.
Oh, I got you, homie. And to give him props and all those folk who work in that industry that they don't get paid a lot of money, that have to do a lot of work, they're stretched to the limits, and they're on the front line of the battlefield to inform and educate our people about the impact of HIV, which is still very much alive and well. My job, obviously, is to reach those who they're not reaching, to inform and to get those who feel that HIV is some bullshit and it's not serious. And I really don't care about it. I'm not scared of it. And you're preaching to each other because I'm still going to do what I do because nothing really has changed. My first book came out 14 years ago, and folks still getting infected. Folks still having raw sex. Folks still are not scared of HIV. Like, nobody ain't scared of no HIV. So my thing is to use my platform and my name and my words and my work to just let those who feel that it's no big deal understand it is a big deal. In the new book, or the Download 2 that drops today, the message is not necessarily about HIV prevention. It's more about creating healthy relationships, because I feel that if you're gay or straight or lesbian or whatever your identity is, if you have a healthy relationship with your partner, and both of you are honest and you're not cheating and you're not taking each other's life at risk, then that can be part of decreasing the spread of any HIV or STD. It's about healthy relationships. So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to get my ass kicked again and try to be an HIV educator, because that's not who I am or what I'm even trying to do. My job is to promote and provide information for people like Kevin and his peers so they can reach folk that they're not reaching. And the bottom line, my new message is healthy relationships will decrease HIV.
That is so true.
That. I like that.
Man, that is so
love
true.
Love it, baby. Love it.
Yes,
yes.
Because
true,
without
I know Nicole is right there in the background there. She's there. You still with us, Nicole?
I am. I'm jumping up and down in my seat right now. This is amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Because you know what? And this show, I want to remind everybody: if you do want to call in to 347-826-7520. If you have any questions for our guests, or if you have a statement, because you know what, we want to make sure that this is a platform where a lot of people, as Kevin said, and JL and Nicole will say, you don't have an opportunity to have a voice if you have a thought that you might have HIV. Who do you talk to? Where do you go? Like JL is saying, you don't have a good relationship with a partner, or if you're not in a serious relationship, who do you talk to? Where can you ask the question? Which was so key important for me, asking Kevin, what are the steps you take? Because this is somebody who lives with it. This is somebody not only who lives with it and has. When I tell you, Kevin really has fought this thing, and for him to still be standing first of all, in a good, healthy, loving marriage. So for those who feel like they're HIV positive and they can't get married, he's another living witness. But a lot of times you're not able to have these conversations. And so we want to make sure that Loudmouth Radio is the platform for you to be able to call and say, I have it. I don't have it, but I have somebody I know has it.
I would ask you to do me one big favor. Instead of saying live with it or have it, say HIV.
I love it. Have HIV, have AIDS. I love you for that. Thank you for correcting me.
It is derogatory for me. Say the words.
I love it. I love you, Kevin.
I want to pitch in and say that Kevin, who I love more than love, is one of probably the most real, most honest individual who I know who's HIV positive who has shared his story without any apology or without any hesitation. When you read his story in my new book, it's going to blow your mind. He gave me his story. He could have wrote his own book. I've been trying to get Kevin to write his own book for years, but he never did. He never did. Maybe that's why. But I begged him to put his story in my new book because his story is so powerful. And I told him yesterday he's going to be doing a book signing tonight at Morehouse School of Medicine, and he's gonna do my book. And I told him my book is his book because his story is in my book. So I need your listeners to buy the book, and if you don't know anything else, you need to read Kevin's story. It's going to blow you away.
I love that. I was just
Thank you,
JL. Love that because I think it's important that we support each other in the endeavors that we all do. I want to, on that note, bring Nicole in to talk about Halos of Red Foundation. I know you guys have to leave, but I do want you to hear her story and her heart and why she wanted to form Halos of Red Foundation. Nicole, jump on in here, girl.
Jumping on in. Thank you so much. So my story starts with my son and his marriage, and being young and married and having what a healthy relationship, as you said, JL, and why it is so very important is to have these tests. And to be okay with the fact that you have tested positive, you are living with HIV and AIDS, and I agree with you, Kevin. The monster has to come out of the closet. The it, or as the young people are saying now, the package. They have the package. No, you have HIV or you have AIDS. And in losing one of my children, I have taken on a whole new perspective of how HIV and how AIDS and this young millennial generation, because this is where I stand in, with not only males but females as well. And what has been brought to my attention that I totally missed was how many of our young women also are living with HIV and AIDS. And
correct.
Still continuing to stay with their partners. And no one is having the discussion. What I am seeing from our young males from 19 to 26 is a mind blower. I mean, a actual mind blower. They are reckless. They refuse. I mean, it is like completely unheard of for them to be able to say to their next partner, hey, I have HIV.
I have, yes.
I have this before, and here's what I'm doing with my treatment. Where my son is located, 4,000 new cases last year of HIV. 4,000 in one county. And the age group is the highest between 16 and 24. And I heard Kevin say, yeah, we got to get into these schools. It's not the colleges because they are having sex early. And just as you stated, I mean, our girls feel that having anal sex, as you said, is they're still holding on to their virginity. Nothing has changed in their world.
Hey, I'm gonna pitch in before I bounce off this phone. Is one of the biggest problems. Y'all, I like to keep it 100. One of the biggest obstacles that HIV educators and prevention folk have is those who are already HIV who don't give a fuck. And they will tell you in a heartbeat, yeah, I got it, so what? I know, this is real talk. In the book, I have talked to so many HIV positive young brothers and old heads who say, "I fuck raw. I ain't trying to wear no condom."
Right.
And if they lay up with me and they don't ask my status, fuck. I'm gonna do what I do.
Yeah.
So you got
that is so true.
That is so sad.
Who they like. You ain't gonna believe this, and I got documentation. I got a buddy right now who's HIV positive, and he loves fucking raw. He loves it. And he said, man, I don't care. I'm going to give whoever gets it, gets it. So you got a lot of individuals like that need to be,
wow.
HIV educators go do it, but they need to reach those brothers and let them know, dude, we ain't going to never win this battle if you are still spreading it. I mean, that's real talk.
Yeah,
it is.
Like
yeah. It is.
Purposely spreading
That's
it.
horrible.
Purposely spreading it.
Purposely.
Yeah, and proud of it.
And proud of
Proud
it. I remember first seeing your play, JL. You and Chris wrote a just amazing play called Raw, and it just brought tears to my eyes because of that very statement and that very portrayal of that attitude. And, you know, the one thing I love, Anana Harris wasn't able to come on here, but she started Afri Salsa because she wanted to spread the message through a positive way of dance to talk about HIV/AIDS. And this was years ago. But one of the things that she would talk about, so when I meet a new partner, I don't care if you run from the conversation, you're not the partner that I need. And when I say she went down, right? Have you had this disease, that disease? When have you been tested? And when she finished that conversation, it was, okay, well, we're going to spend 48 hours together, and we're going to go get tested, and we're not moving from each other until those tests come back if you want to sleep with me.
But you know what, Jazz, because we in society put so much pressure on our single sisters to get a man. Girl, you ain't got no man. Girl, my was grandkids. Girl, you 30 years old and you ain't got no man. And so they, those messages that our young women and boys are getting about the importance of being with somebody makes them lower their standards, and they refuse to continue to let guys walk out their lives because they having this HIV bullshit conversation. Brothers ain't trying to hear that. And so if a sister says, I ain't gonna give you none, if we're gonna get tested, Negroes will walk away. They'll walk away.
Right. Because the next person will.
Walk away. And she ends up with nobody, and so the next dude comes in her life that's perfect.
So she just gives it. Yeah. You're right. Right. Wow.
You're right. That's real talk.
So in other words, we got a lot of work to do.
But you know
what?
Hey guys,
we have someone too, I think, that wants to speak in. If you
JL,
if you're listening, go ahead and speak.
If you need to leave, JL, we understand. Anybody that needs to leave, we understand. If you need to go, we appreciate you all for being on.
This is going
online.
amazing.
This is amazing. Thank you so much. Caller, you're live. Go ahead and speak, love. Okay.
Okay. We'll continue the movement.
You can listen, and we'll continue to talk. So, Nicole, what is it that Halos of Red Foundation? What is your goal for forming this? Where do you want it to go? And how can people find out more information?
Fantastic. So, Halos of Red, we'd like to let the monster out of the closet. We'd like to be real. We'd like to be raw because the Wrap It Up movement didn't work. And as we said, it did not work. All the awareness, though people are doing everything in their power, awareness is not working. It's time to be real. It's time to be raw. It's time to go into our churches where our people go.
Yes.
It's time to arrive at our schools, and it's time to be real. I'm the mom, and as a mom, I have no problem, as all mothers know, giving it to your children. And as mothers and parents and caregivers, if you do not know how to have the conversation, we're going to show you how to have the conversation. We're going to invite you to our events so you can hear the conversation, so you can take that back. People don't like real. Real makes people run. But it's time.
They're uncomfortable.
They're
But
very
it needs
uncomfortable.
time to save lives, though. You got to start saving
It
lives.
is.
Not having
It
the conversation is killing it.
It's killing it. What I'm going to do is because I have a national and an international platform. I've been blessed to have it for all these years. I'm going to now that I'm back with this. I'm going to go back on the national network, just to let the folk know, the new millenniums and the Generation X's,
and how
that this thing is real. Y'all tripping.
Yes.
Like, I've been invited to be on the Real, and the Real reaches my audience. You know, the Real reaches my audience. I've been invited. Right. Wendy wants me back on her show again. Steve Harvey has already said he wants me back on his show again to talk about this. So I have I'm probably one of the few individuals that have that type of national platform. You know, so I'm one of the few. And the HIV educators who feel that I probably hurt them more than help them, they need to realize I'm helping them more than hurting them. Because they don't get invited. They don't get invited by Wendy or the Real or Steve Harvey. None of them do. I do. So if I can get on the Real or Wendy or the View or Oprah or anybody and talk about the impact of HIV, I think that I should be supported by those who don't have that platform.
Right. But you know,
you have my support.
Yeah, it's a correlation. It's a correlation, and I think JF this time around, you're coming at it with way more wisdom. You know, it was a time of you also letting people know about, hey, listen, I need to tell you my truth about who I love and how I love. Right. And so it was a whole lot.
This ain't about accumulating friends. You can't accumulate friends in this process.
Exactly.
JL, you know what that kickback and that response is, and you know, if for those, you know, Nicole, I know that your organization is fairly new to the hemisphere, but look at JL. You know, go back and look at him proudly and boldly stand in front of America and say, look, this is what's going on, and these down low brothers were hating. When I say hating, hating. And he made people uncomfortable because it was the truth, and it was not something that, it wasn't slander, it was true. So,
I stood in my truth. I stood in my truth. I told my story, and I have not let any of my haters stop me from doing nothing.
Right. That's right.
And
you can't. And Nicole, halosofredfoundation.org. I'm saying this right now because I want to get some hard stats. If you go to the website for Nicole's organization, halosofredfoundation.org, just some things that are very prevalent. If you're listening to this and you want to just shy away from it, no, let me give you some real hard facts. 36.7 plus million people globally are living with HIV. 1.8 plus million newly infected people have been diagnosed with HIV. And over 1 million have died from AIDS-related illnesses. That was just in 2016. New infections, over 1 million. Over 1 million have died just in 2016 alone. And I'm sure that, you know, as we get to the end of this part of the year, it's going to be interesting to see where we've changed or adjusted since last year.
Right.
So,
I was not to cut you off. I got to bounce, but my book signing is in Atlanta Saturday from 12 to 4 at my apartment complex at 740 Sidney Marcus Boulevard. I'm going to have a few books here. This is the unofficial release before I start my national and international tour next year. So if any of your listeners want to stop by, meet me, get an autographed copy, it's Saturday, 12 to 4.
And how much are they, JL?
$20 if you want to stop and get one, $26 if I have to mail it to you.
Perfect. We're definitely going to support that.
I love you guys. Love you guys to death.
Love you too, JL.
Let me know what you need from me. And to the other sister on the phone, keep doing your thing. We'd love to meet you soon. We'd love to get a copy of my book in your hands so you can also serve as a person that gets my message to those who need to hear it.
I love it. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all be blessed. Kevin, I'll see you later, man.
Yep.
Love you, JL.
All right, cool.
Man, guys, I'm going to tell you something. It is one of these days where you just really have to, address the real statements and the real issues. And, you know, JL, we watched him over the years, you know, just kind of go through it. You know, I think everybody on this line has had the real experience of having adversity, especially doing something that maybe is not the norm or society is not agreeing upon, or even your own family, from, you know, LGBT rights, gay marriage, now HIV, AIDS, you know, the quote unquote, everybody want to make it the gay sex, and all, you know, all of those types of things that are real things that have to be spoke about. And I think the time is, this is not by error. It's the perfect alignment, and it has a purpose. This is an amazing time period to say that we've had all of these people on the platform at one time, Jazzy.
I think so, for sure. I want,
the parallel,
Before you get off, before everybody goes, I do want to just quickly, briefly say that a lot of times in the brown and black communities and communities of other ethnicities, the conversation is just like taboo. It's not going to be spoken about. Nobody wants to deal with it because of Christianity, Muslim, all of the other religions. Nobody wants to say it because it shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be heard. It shouldn't be talked about. And so we kind of cover it over and cover it over and cover it over. The saddest part is it is so prevalent. It's so huge in these communities because it's not being talked about. And I would even go a step further when JL is talking about healthy relationships. You know, we're always connecting those relationships to boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you know, dating, so forth and so on. But there is a relationship with me and my mom. There's a relationship for me and my pastor. There's a relationship that we have. And if we're not having healthy relationships in the faith, and if we're not having healthy relationships in the black and brown communities and the Muslim and Hispanic communities, and in the African, if Africa can talk about it to 5- and 6-year-old girls because they're being raped by men who feel like if I have sex with a young virgin, then I can pass the HIV virus or AIDS virus to them. That's what they're being told, and that's what they're being taught. Wow. And so our children, it's sad, but our children in other countries are being taught AIDS and HIV prevention. They're even being taught, one group is learning technical techniques that if a man runs up on you as a young girl or boy, how you're able to fight them off so that you will not be raped. See, we got to have real conversations in church. We got to have real conversations in the black and brown community. It can no longer be, you know, it's somebody else's problem.
But, you know, Jazzy, you said an important thing about the church. The church has failed us in this epidemic.
Yes.
They failed us.
That's true.
Yes.
And even in my own experience, when I was first diagnosed, and I asked my pastor at the time when I was living in Chicago to come and pray with me, he came to the house with 2 other deacons, and he wanted to speak to me alone. And the words he said to me was, "I don't want to know what's wrong with you."
Wow.
And that hurt my heart, because how can you pray for me if you don't know what's wrong with me?
Come on.
And it was at that time that I had a distaste for church, and I stopped going for several years because of that statement he made to me. And this is a church that I grew up in. This is a church at the time that he married my wife and I at that time. But for you to come and tell me you don't want to know what's wrong, he knew what was going on.
Of course, well, he probably had it himself, because you know we don't want to. You know how we do. You know how we do, and it's, I don't mean to single black churches out or brown churches out like we're the only ones, because honey, sweetie, sugar darling, we so are not. The difference between predominantly Caucasian or Anglo-Saxon or white churches, white people, and the culture itself is that they will have a conversation far faster.
Right.
Yes.
Than we will have. They will seek treatment triple times faster than we will do it, because they don't mind talking. Now, that doesn't mean every single white family or white church or organization is going to be open and acceptive to HIV and AIDS, so we're not going to pretend like that. We're going to be real on the show. But what I am saying is that oftentimes black and brown families and cultures and churches and organizations, we're so limited in the conversation because we have been shamed into conversations all of our lives. You know, uncle and papa and granddaddy and mama and auntie and them have done things that we have always been told. You don't talk about it. You keep it in the house.
You don't talk about it.
You don't mention it. You don't take it to the street. It's in the house. It's our business. So having those situations put on you when you're in these type of families and churches and organizations, it makes you keep silent. And in the silence, there is death. And in the silence, there is fear. And in the silence, there is shame. And in order for us to be whole, and in order for us to live a life of longevity, even living with HIV, even living with AIDS. If you live one more day, in that one more day, what is your quality of life?
Mm-hmm.
What is as Nicole says, who's coming to touch me? Who's coming to help me wash my clothes? Who's coming to take me to the grocery store? Because you're so afraid that if I touch you, I'm going to get this thing.
Right.
I'm going to get this monster. I'm going to get this.
The
and the saddest and the saddest thing for me, if we didn't say the word AIDS, if we didn't say the word HIV, if we named all of the if we said, well, I have pneumonia. Well, pneumonia came from the fact that I have the virus because I can't ward off anything. Well, if I have cancer, it's better if I say, well, I have cancer and I'm dying of cancer. But the minute I say I have HIV and I have contracted cancer because my body won't fight anything away, now it's taboo.
Right.
Now we can't say nothing else because the big bad wolf has been spoken. And so it is imperative for us that are of Black, African, American, however you want to call brown people, whatever you want to call us, age people like Kevin, senior citizens are dying of AIDS and HIV. Hello, people.
Yes.
Because, quote unquote, they're not supposed to have sex anymore after you get to a rotten old age.
Well,
you're not supposed
have
to have
remember,
a desire.
The thing is now that men has the blue pill now. So if you got 3 or 4 men living in a senior facility and you got multitude of women, well, guess what? There's 10, 12 women for every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, because it's more women in senior facilities than men.
That's right. That's right. You're speaking the truth.
They got the blue pill. It's rising again. So now I can go out and get me a little young thing. I can get this lady in the building. And I contracted HIV from the prostitutes. But now I can go up and down each floor in the senior building and get any woman I want. And I've passed.
See,
that's
and
what's
people
happening.
They don't believe that. They don't believe that. Or they don't believe that I had oral sex and I'm not even with that person. I'm good. But I have sores in my mouth, and so now we're messing it on back.
And you got to talk to your young boys, these parents that have these young boys that are out here, especially if you still have some young men, young women too. At this age, this newer generation, they're exploring that sexual, the sexual prowess still. Right. So they may be going from boys to girls, and if they are,
and it's acceptable to them.
And back and forth.
It's
it's
acceptable to them.
So they got to know how to protect themselves, and these are the conversations. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you an even better message. If you don't feel the comfortability of having this conversation, feel free to take this show today and send it to them and say, I need you to listen to this. Because there are parents that don't know how to have a conversation. They don't know they don't know the stats. They don't know all of the aspects to speak on. But hear from people who are right here today having this conversation and allow this to open up the room with not only them but also their friends. Play it right together with them. Because trust me, they leave you, they're going to have that conversation with their friends and say, my mama tried to make me listen to this or try to say this. So allow them, and then that's something that you can bring them together to have a safe space and allow them to know and recognize, even though you may not know how to comfortably start the conversation, sit this in front of them, and then that allows them to know that I can have this conversation with you.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
And don't even press them, but just allow them to ask and inquire questions or ask what their thoughts are and just see where it goes. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. That's good. Kevin, what were you going to say?
When my daughter was a teenager, my house was the hangout for the teenagers, all the girls and boys. And I told every one of their parents, I'm going to give them condoms, and we're going to talk about sex. And if you have a problem with that, don't let your child come to my house.
Let your child come, right.
I love that.
So, and trust and believe, I had a house full of teenagers, and we talked. And they felt comfortable talking to me. Even to this day, they're grown, and they still come and ask my opinion, even as adults, on things that they're going through. But I made it a open, comfortable, safe space for them to have the conversation. And another thing I wanted to bring up too is that we have to understand that living in a rural community is so totally different than living in an urban community. People don't want to go to their local health department because my auntie worked there or my neighbor worked there, so I don't want them to know why I'm coming to the clinic to get a test. So they don't test. Or they can't get to the next major city to get a test because they don't have the money, or they don't have a car, or they don't have transportation to get there. So that's another problem.
Wow.
It's a huge problem.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about it from the rural perspective. I mean, I know that that's an issue, but I just didn't think about it from the, sometimes we forget our outskirts.
Yep.
We forget the places that only have 4,000 people, 300 people, 20,000
and everybody
people
know
versus
your name.
million.
Right. They know your entire family.
Right. So what do we do? So we're here. And I know Nicole, this is one of the things that Nicole has talked to us about, of some things that she wants to do, not only here in Atlanta, but, Nicole has lived in several other states, and I know that she is actively working on the nonprofit that's been established to also become a foreign nonprofit so that she can go in other areas that's near and dear to her heart. But what are the thought processes, Kevin and Nicole? I'll put this both to you. Kevin, I'll ask you first, and then Nicole. So in that situation, and not only rural, just period. So if I can't get, Brad to go to the health department because his aunt is there, or if I can't get Shakita to go and be tested, who do I talk to? How do I then campaign in that area? What would be your suggestion? Because I'm all about doing.
Right. There's a 800 hotline, and if you call it, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but if you call the hotline number, they can tell you where to go. There are some agencies or organizations that will come to you and do your test for you. They'll meet you somewhere. You just have to ask questions. You got to do some research. Everybody has a smartphone or some kind of tablet or smartphone or something. Get on the internet and look for the information. You have to ask questions. Hey, I'll take tests home. Somebody will call me. I don't want to come to your agency, but can you bring a test home? I sure can. Where you want me to meet you?
That's good. That's good. So as an organization, we need to be able to have, if we don't know how to do it ourselves, we need to definitely have staff or other organizations to partner with us so that we'll be able to have those things on hand, is what you're saying.
Oh, most definitely.
I love that.
Most definitely.
I love that. Nicole, what are your thoughts? Because I know you know some areas that are very similar. So what are your thoughts and ideas of what you would like to see and do with your organization?
I would like to, just as, Kevin stated about having a hotline, I would like Halos of Red to also have a number that we can get you transportation. So if you do live in a rural area or in an area where you yourself are very popular and don't wish to be shown, that we can get you to the next place. Several, places have, other cities connected right to them, but you need transportation to get there. So to be able to provide you transportation that is non-judgmental, that is full of love and acceptance, to say we'll be happy to pick you up, and if you'd like, we'll be happy to be right there with you. Because it is a very nerve-wracking time where you're scared to death. And just to have someone who is non-judgmental, non-biased, and honestly cares and accepts you and will be right there to hold your hand and have that conversation on the way home so you can cry, scream, whatever you need to do, we'll be right there to supply you with that.
I love that.
That would be perfect.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, because, we have to pay the bills. When we come back, I want both of you to be able to, in our wrap-up, to give your numbers of information of how people can contact you directly if that's what you desire for them to know. And so we're going to take a real quick break and come right back.
Sounds good.
You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network. Bridal and Formal Wear by Jacquard is located at 215 Old Town Way in McDonough, Georgia, celebrating their one-year anniversary with select wedding gowns up to $500 off, bridesmaids dresses up to $50 off, mother, bride, and groom, prom, and concierge up to $100 off. All accessories 10% off, such as veils, jewelry, garter, headpieces, and more. Make sure you stop in today, again, at 215 Old Town Way in the heart of McDonough, 678-884-6458, and you can find them online at jacardsbridal.com.
Excellent, excellent. I want to come back real quick, and I do want to say this to the young people. I'll say this directly: young, old, older, mature, whatever. But I really want to kind of talk to the young people, and I want to say to you directly, number one, we love you. Let me just start there, because you may not have heard that from anybody in a very long time, if ever. You may have been told you're nothing, you're worthless, you are, you're sick, you're whatever. And you may have been put out, you may have been shunned, shamed, and all of those things. We on Loudmouth Radio today love you. And that today could be any day, because this is an archive show. But wherever you are, know that you are not alone, though you may feel so alone. We are on this show either directly dealing and living with HIV or AIDS, and or indirectly as activists, as moms, uncles, dads, concerned citizens. We have resources. Listen to me. We have resources that can help you go from I have no clue what I'm doing, I'm totally afraid, I'm totally lost, to here's your medication, this is the transportation opportunity, this is the hug, this is the love, this is the food, this is the care. And if you are all the way to the other spectrum, to the other end, and you are dying, because let's be real, okay, people are dying, but before they die, they're in a dying process. We love you. We're sending you hugs right now. We're sending you care right now. We're telling you that you are worth it, that you are somebody, that you're a mistake, that you're not feeling safe enough, and being embarrassed has brought you to the end of your life. Today we love you. And know that if you are the family member of somebody that is dying, that not only myself, not only Sonny, the producer, Kevin, but definitely Nicole has felt this. She is a mom who has felt this. And she is one that I can tell you right now understands where you are. There is resources for those family members who don't know how to deal with this. For families who are dying, we are here to embrace you. And Nicole, give them your phone number that they are able to call you and just say, hey, I don't know what to do.
Please,
and that number, that number is 470.
206-8586. That's 470-206-8586. And as Jazzy said, please, just call me. If you want to have a conversation, just call me. If you just need to know that someone's there, please call me. I am here for you. This line is always open and always available for you. Please.
I love it. And that's Nicole with Halos of Red Foundation. You can find that at halosofredfoundation.org. The foundation is still being built. Ideas are still being accepted, and it is coming together. If you would like to donate, there is a donation button on the website that you're able to give, so that all of these resources and all of this love and care is freely given. So continue to follow this organization and foundation. It's coming from the heart. It's not coming from being puffed up and wanting to get in on the end, but it's definitely coming from a personal place of love. And Nicole, we appreciate you so very much for coming on and sharing your story, and coming on and giving your bit of information to help somebody along the way. Kevin, I know you love real good. How can we get in contact with you and the organizations that you work with?
All right. I work for Aniz Incorporated, and that's ANIZ Incorporated, and you can reach us at www.anise.org. Our phone number is 404-521-2410, and we're located at 236 Forsyth Street, Atlanta, Georgia 30303. We're across the street from the Greyhound Station and Magic City.
Hey, and they know what that is.
Yeah, right.
That's a good place to be. That's a good place to be for help. That's a good place to be for help. And just know that we here at Loudmouth are always able to be reached. We're social media. We're digital online network, but we're all over. So we're able to meet you, greet you, and find other resources and organizations. Honestly, anywhere in the world. We've traveled in the last few years with our Loudmouth Marketing group, as well as from Words to Action Outreach Ministries. We've traveled 18 states, 5 countries. So we're everywhere. And so anywhere we can find our hand to do good, to spread the news, to bring it into a light where people can understand whatever the topic it is that we're talking about. And today it's HIV and AIDS. We want to make sure that we're able to be present. So you're always able to go online, because we already know everybody can get online. So you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we're just on our own website, which is loudmouth.com. That's loudmouth with 2 D's, loudmouthradio.com. And you can find us and be able to contact us, and we'll be able to get you the information that you need to have. Thank you, everyone, for coming on today, because I think it was definitely overdue, definitely needed. And we're embarking in so many new undertakings to make sure the world is a better place. There's so much going on. But you know what? One person at a time. One person at a time. And we can do that. We can't save the world. We want to. We can't save the world, but we can work with you one person at a time. And I just want you to know today, once again, this is from Jazzy. This is from my heart. You are worthy, and you are so loved. You are worthy, and you are so loved, even with HIV, even with AIDS, even with any disability, even with being light-skinned, brown-skinned, dark-skinned, white-skinned, even with being poor, even being rich. You are so loved, and you are so worthy. Remember that today, and make the calls, make the contacts, make the connections. Love you much, and I'm going to sign off.
You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network.